Three-time WWE Women's Champion, two-time WWE Divas Champion, ranked number 3 of the best 50 female wrestlers in the PWI Female 50 in 2009. Ladies, gentlemen, my non-binary friends, it is I, Josh Robinson, here for Love Wrestling, and it's time to roll out that red carpet because it's the Legacy of Melina. On April 14th, 2005, on an episode of SmackDown, Melina would make her official WWE debut as the manager of Eminem, Mercury, Nitro, Melina. They're a cool unit that would end up actually winning the WWE Tag Team Championships on SmackDown in their in-ring debut. Just 1 week after their official debut, they were the WWE Tag Team Champions. Melina's role was really instrumental into absolutely everything that they were doing. Before she actually debuted in WWE, she was working in OVW, and she was with John Morrison, Johnny Nitro, John Hennigan, whatever you want to call him, Johnny Impact, Johnny whatever. She was with John Morrison and was doing stuff in OVW as well as Joey Mercury, Joey Matthews, again, whatever you want to call him. They were kind of doing things and being Eminem down in OVW, and that was in like 04, 05, and then they would come into WWE in 05 and be on SmackDown and be this really dominant tag team and doing a lot of cool stuff. So I think the introduction and the way you can kind of start a legacy on Melina is to kind of value her role as a manager. She was known as a manager. She was, doing a little bit of wrestling within the first few months and the first really calendar year of her career. She was wrestling here and there. She would end up actually going for the Women's Championship against Trish Stratus in an unsuccessful attempt, of course. And, she was doing different things, but really the meat and potatoes of what she was doing was being a manager for Eminem and doing a great job at being a manager. I think something we lose a lot of in wrestling today is the art of a valet or the art of a manager. And she was doing some really cool stuff. Without Melina, there would be no Eminem. There was not really, I guess, the substance of Eminem would be a little lost. They were a great trio, a great unit, and doing great things in the time. Melina, in her first calendar year of being on SmackDown, would work with the likes of Jillian Hall. As I mentioned, she would actually go for the Women's Championship at Survivor Series against Trish Stratus, again, unsuccessfully. But, she kind of was able to really dive into character stuff and really develop what Melina would become. That very vicious, high-pitched scream would become a kind of staple of what Melina was capable of a character, and really just turn your ears inside out and really just hurt your ears. And she was a great heel, and Eminem were a great team, and without Melina, there would be no Eminem, like I said before, and no real... They would just be another tag team. Melina made them stand out. Now, after a couple of reigns as tag team champions, Eminem would officially separate in 2006. Nitro and Melina would debut on Raw on May 29th, with Nitro losing to WWE champion John Cena. So on May 29th, 2006, Nitro and Melina became a singles act. They became just the couple. There was no more Eminem. That had run its course in the year that it had been on television, and we're ready to do things with Johnny Nitro and Melina as a part of the Raw brand. So once debuting, they would kind of hunt for the Intercontinental Championship and actually have a pretty successful run as Intercontinental Champion, working with the likes of Jeff Hardy and others. A lot of stuff was happening in 2006, and there was kind of a shift with a lot of stuff that was really going on in 06 with the way the women's division was going and going into more of they were trying to find success after Trish Stratus and after Lita, and this was kind of towards the end of Trish and Lita's run in WWE, and they were trying to find their next Trish and Lita. They were trying to find new stars, but Melina would actually get a chance to work in the ring when she came over to Raw a little bit more, a lot of mixed tag matches, and actually start to be inserted into bigger programs and into wrestling roles. Melina, I think, is someone that is looked at because of her debut on television as just a manager of someone that wasn't a wrestler, but Melina was actually training to wrestle in a OVW, and she really wanted to become a wrestler, and I think a lot of people looked at Melina as just a valet or a manager that couldn't really wrestle. Melina would famously enter a program pretty much on her arrival to Raw with Mick Foley. They would kind of play on their real life friendship, they would form an on-screen friendship, and then there was this match at SummerSlam between Ric Flair and Mick Foley. And it was an I Quit match, and there was a lot of stuff happening with... Melina was a very big part in this. The next night on Raw, the night after SummerSlam, the storyline had Vince McMahon order Foley to join the Kiss My Ass Club. After begging Foley not to go through with it, Foley joined the club to save Melina's job. Only then for her to be that vicious heel that we know and love, or hate, I guess love to hate, delivering a low blow and firing him at the behest of Vince McMahon himself. This was really the first time that we see Melina on a big storyline with Mick Foley, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever, Ric Flair, one of the greatest ever, Hall of Famer. These two people were in this story, and Melina was a huge part of that story, and it was really her introduction to the A show of WWE, Monday Night Raw. At the very beginning of 2007 is really when we're able to see Melina develop in the ring. She would kind of still be associated with Johnny Nitro, but was definitely moving away from Johnny Nitro and started to become the main heel in WWE in the women's division. I mentioned before how they were trying to find their next Trish leader. They had found someone in Mickie James, and Mickie James was... There was no question about it. She was the top babyface for females in WWE going into 2007. They needed that counterpart. They needed that person to go against Mickie James, and Melina was that person. On the February 19th episode of Monday Night Raw, Melina would defeat Mickie James to win the WWE Women's Championship for the first time in her career. This feud was so hot and their matches were just clicking. They were having a lot of great matches, and I think WWE had discovered we might have our next Trish leader in Mickie and Melina. They would have a title rematch in the first ever women's Falls Count Anywhere match in WWE history. I think a match that gets a little overlooked is, they did all these first evers in 2014 and 15 and 16 and 17 and so on, and this doesn't really get mentioned. This is the first ever time women would have coin the term, there was, street fights and hardcore matches, but Falls Count Anywhere had never ever been done in WWE at the time by women, and Melina and Mickie James were the first people to do that. Throughout 2007, Melina would work with the likes of Candice Michelle, eventually dropping the championship to Candice Michelle. She would work with Ashley at WrestleMania 23. She would work with Victoria. She would work with an ally with Beth Phoenix, eventually going into 2008 and actually fighting Beth Phoenix in the first ever women's I Quit match at the One Night Stand pay-per-view. Another first that Melina did in her career that I don't think gets talked about enough. And on top of that, Beth and Melina were feuding with no championship. That match was a very rare non-women's championship match with a story going into a pay-per-view. That did not happen very often in this era. It was insane that they were having an I Quit match, and they killed it, by the way, if I can say so myself. But they were doing different things, and Melina was working with different people and really cementing herself as the top heel of the company in 07 and 08. She would eventually suffer a bit of an injury in 08 and kind of going away until the latter part of 2008. Melina would work on SmackDown and Raw throughout her time from 2009 to 2011. She would win the WWE Divas Championship twice. She would regain the WWE Women's Championship a few times in there as well. She was a part of the unification match for both the Divas and Women's Championship, losing to Michelle McCool. She would do different things at the time and kind of work mainly on Raw, but she was on SmackDown as well for a little time between 2009 and 2011. On the August 1st episode of Raw, Melina participated in a number one contenders battle royal, which was won by Beth Phoenix, and this would be her final match with WWE as she was released later that week. Now that's a very infamous battle royal for Melina and Gail Kim, famously kind of eliminating themselves almost in that battle royal, and that would be her run with the company ending in 2011. It was a really weird time. You seen the kind of shelf life for women in WWE at that time was 4-5 years. If you were having a 6-year career or longer like Melina did, you were special. You were someone of value. And to release a three-time women's champion, 2-time Divas champion, I should say, it's pretty crazy. Within a year, you lost Mickie James, you lost Maria Kanellis, you lost Melina, you lost Gail Kim, Victoria was gone. Michelle McCool was getting ready to leave. Beth Phoenix was getting ready to leave. You were losing a lot of these great workers that you had in an era where working was really not the number one requirement of females in professional wrestling. It was not really the number one requirement for what you needed to do in WWE at the time. And it kind of sucks to say that the 2011 appearance was the last WWE appearance until 2019 for Melina on an episode of Raw. In the Raw reunion, she was acting as a referee in the 24/7 championship mess. But she did some independence. She obviously did some work in NWA, which we've seen really recently. She had one of the best matches of her career with Deonna Purrazzo for the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. She'll make her first ever appearance for Impact in this time that she's been away. She's kind of dipped in and out of wrestling. There was a long time where Melina wasn't wrestling, and she had stated in many interviews that wrestling was, I guess, done for her. She was done in wrestling. She did everything that she wanted to do. Got to wrestle at WrestleMania a couple of times. Got to be women's champion. Got to be Divas champion. Did some independent stuff. Did some, different kinds of things throughout the years. But it's only until recently, in the last couple of years, where she's popped up for NWA and had some great work working with some young talent. Like I said, Deonna Purrazzo and her had one of the best matches of Melina's career at Empower last year. To see her in that role was really, really cool. And it does kind of suck that we didn't see Melina in WWE being the legend that we know that she is, and a future Hall of Famer that we know that she is, and it kind of sucks. But there is a silver lining to all this, because it kind of makes sense when I didn't obviously know when I announced I was doing this Legacy of Melina that this would be the case, but on January 29th, 2022, Melina made a surprise return, opening the 2022 Royal Rumble match with Sasha Banks. She was eliminated in less than a minute. I won't get into speculation of certain things, but she got a big pop, got a big reaction. I hope this opens the door to have one last little time in WWE, even if it just means a match. I would be happy to watch a Melina and Sasha Banks program. I'm just saying. But it was cool. She got a really monstrous reaction, as did a lot of the women that night. And it was cool to see Melina have that emotional moment at the Royal Rumble. And at least, hey, no matter what happened after that time, she got that one last entrance, if that really is her last time in a WWE ring. But I'm gonna guess, with the circumstances that was surrounding that and the way that she was eliminated, I think we might be seeing Melina in a WWE ring again, whether it's in a Royal Rumble or in a singles match or some kind of program. I think we're going to see Melina have one last little time so she can really bookend her career the way that I know she wants to, and that's going home to WWE. Say what you will about WWE, that's when Melina became Melina, and that's when Melina made a name for herself. So I'd love to see that happen again one day in WWE for Melina. That's going to do it for this week's episode of The Legacy of. Of course, let me know what you think about Melina in the comments section below. You can follow me on Twitter at JoshRobinson_00. You can follow Love Wrestling on Twitter at LoveWrestlingCA. All the links to my stuff and Love Wrestling stuff will be in the description box below. What a cool little time it's been for The Legacy of. Hope you're enjoying the comeback. Hope you're enjoying season 2. Hope you enjoyed Melina. And also in the comments, why don't you tell me who would like to see Melina wrestle? If she was to step back into a WWE ring, or even an AEW ring. That'd be kind of cool. Next week, it is the Legacy of Big Time herself. It is Big Time Bex, the man, whatever you want to call her. Becky Lynch is getting a Legacy of next week. That is going to be an interesting episode to do next Monday. Again, I hope you're enjoying all of this. I'm having a lot of fun with all of this. It's a lot of fun to be doing the Legacy of again, and I can't wait to just keep pumping these out, guys. It's a lot of fun. All right, I love you all very much. Until next Monday, my name is Josh Robinson. I'm signing off for Love Wrestling. See you on the next one, folks. Bye.